Happy New Year to all. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. How good it sounds. Sounds wonderful. Feliz Año Nuevo. And here we are with our next spiritual virtue. In a great day as today, sharing this growth, this expansion of the different frequencies and vibrations that the spiritual virtue convey to us. And today we are going to the middle point of the whole work that we are doing. We are in the middle point, 20, 20 out of 40. And we will be working on the 20th spiritual virtue. So congratulations to all of you that are growing and going forward. There are a lot of messages that we have been receiving of the depth that you have felt with this work, the transformation that you have felt with this work, the growth. So thank you very much for your shares, for those that are here live and the ones that are listening to the broadcast afterwards. There are hundreds of people that are listening to the broadcasts. So let's take a pulse of our hearts that we know that is the basis of quantum bioengineering. And as a creator of this methodology, finding the toroidal quantum pulse was a great discovery. It was a change in paradigm at a planetary level. So I feel very honored, very blessed to be able to share this message in practically all the continents on Earth. Well, many people are being benefited by this methodology and this wisdom of reconnecting with our own heart. When we take the pulse of our heart, we are entering the most sacred part of ourselves, the most authentic, real part of us. And it's also the most humane, the most human. It's the rhythm of life. So as we take our pulse, let's go from that attitude of reverence for our own being and feeling that heart as a bomb of energy, a bomb of love, a pump of life that is beating every instant inside of us from the start, from the very start of our coming into this plane, this planet, this time. So let's honor life towards ourselves when we take the pulse of our hearts, putting all our attention, intention, and compassion on each beat. Let's raise our frequency body where we are resonating, feeling the power we have to choose how we feel, how we vibrate. In any instant, we can change our frequency quality. We just need to have the intention of doing it. We can choose to resonate in the highest part of ourselves. And this is free will. So let's connect to the pulse of the earth and the universe, feeling our synchronicity, how this invisible threads of the pulse of our heart connect us to the pulse of life, of existence. Today we are here to go deeper within ourselves, to love ourselves more, to dedicate the merits of each step to all sentient beings, to go forward with this collective global change in front of us for ourselves and for the world. Today, we will start the year with a spiritual virtue that is not well known, maybe even not correctly interpreted. I want you to connect with the frequency and vibration of the spiritual virtue of prudence. Prudence is a spiritual virtue with which we are starting 2025. Prudence acts as a guide in our decisions, actions, and words. Maybe it is a good moment to reflect that we can choose being present in life and have an attitude related to our decisions from a different angle, from a different observer, a unique observer that prudence conveys. Prudence is a lighthouse that helps us to discern between what is correct and what is not correct. Many times we precipitate ourselves and we do not discern what is correct and what isn't, not from the external way of point of view, but our inner coherence with our own being. This way of going forward in a fast way can generate true disasters. Therefore, we will begin this year with prudence as a spiritual virtue, a prudence that allow us to observe from coherence what is correct or not for our own heart, for our own consciousness. This will allow act with wisdom and moderation. We have to take into account that we are in a world full of stimuli. I would like you, with the pulse taken, to feel all the stimuli you have around you. Sound, noise, communication, news, frequencies, social networks, stimuli all around. Stimuli and reactions, impulsive reactions. Observe all the impulsive reactions you have had all through your life. Where have they taken you? Observe how stimuli from the outside have conditioned you. Prudence is a very special spiritual virtue. It invites us to stop time, to reflect, and consider the consequences before we act. Consider the consequences before we act, before choosing, before making a decision. It's a deep act of wisdom that allows you to prevent deviations. You gain time, you gain speed, because sometimes out of impulse, we do exactly the contrary. We lose time, we lose energy, we lose probabilities. Prudence. It is an act of complete consciousness. It allows us to find a balance between the impulse that is emerging and inaction, between saying and remaining quiet, between doing and waiting. And that balance is your own coherence in that instant that you give to yourself to decide, but you give yourself that moment. You don't give yourself that moment to put consciousness and awareness, and your impulse takes control of your life. We could say that prudence is consciousness in anticipated action. When we practice the virtue, we will have a much more conscious life, very deeply connected with our truth, our inner truth. It is also more harmonic. Prudence, as any spiritual virtue, starts within ourselves. It is the capacity to listen to our intuition and reason before taking a decision. Many times, our impulsivity and intense emotions can block our judgment, and then we act, and then we don't like that reaction. Sometimes we relate freedom with impulsivity, and it's not so. There's no relationship there. It is a type of toxic rebelliousness. Impulsivity is toxic rebelliousness that sometimes can make you pay a very high price. For you to have freedom, first, you have to have consciousness, awareness for you to choose. Impulsivity lacks consciousness, lacks awareness. Prudence makes you connect your consciousness on what that you have to choose or what you have to do. Today, we start 2025 with this prudence, connecting deeply with consciousness before making a decision, before acting. Prudence reminds us that not everything requires an immediate reaction. The system wants an immediate reaction in us. And in this way, we just mortgage our whole lives through impulsivity. So let's stop. Stop the world, stop time as much as we need in order to find the correct choice from our hearts. Don't allow the pressure that comes from the outside takes control on our lives. Not everything requires an immediate reaction. Between in that space between the stimulant and the response, there's where you have freedom in the consciousness and awareness that you put in that lapse of time between the stimuli and your reaction or your response. So, starting today, whenever you receive a stimuli from the outside, stop. Do consciousness and that's feel your coherence and then decide, act, and you will find great integrity. Prudence gives us integrity, gives us to walk from the deepest truth inside of us. If you have that tendency to make choices impulsively, I invite you to connect with prudence. If you tend to submerged in a sea of doubts due to inner fears, I also can tell you that that is not prudence. Prudence is not stopping because of fear of paralysis. Prudence is to stop because you are aware, because you want to fill yourself with consciousness and you want to see everything from consciousness, not because you're paralyzed by fear. So, discovering prudence, you can see that it's a great spiritual virtue, greater than you had ever thought, because it gives us the ability to step one step forward and to see every action and every decision from a place of integrity. Prudence does not imply paralysis or fear. It's a conscious focus on life and invites us to act from deep wisdom, making sure that our choices reflect our values. Our decisions reflect our true and deepest values. Today, we act with wisdom and consciousness. Let prudence guide our steps. We're beginning the year. What are the impulses? Stop. Not from fear. Fill yourself with awareness, with consciousness, before letting yourself be driven by impulses that the collective egregor of the new year puts on you. I must, I must, I must, I must. I must do, I must achieve, I must get. Stop. Take your time from consciousness, not from fear. Take your time from consciousness as much as you need, because all that time that will be pregnant with consciousness and awareness, it will be a gain, 10,000-fold. Prudence. Let's feel this frequency and vibration. And we have also have to take into account in our relationships, because it will help us to communicate in a better way, a constructive way. I always say that when you doubt, don't act. If you are in doubt, don't act. This is an advice that I want to give you today. Never act from doubt. Act, talk from complete certainty. And if you don't have that certainty, stop. You will get it later. Maybe you need to understand something else. Maybe you need to go deeper within you. Don't act from doubt, because doubt is a frequency of oscillation. And when you're oscillating that way, if you act or decide from doubt, you will open probabilities that are also oscillating, because we are creating our reality from our inner self. So wait until you have that complete certainty of how to proceed, on how or what to choose. Don't let no one, nothing to pressure, so that you respond or react quickly. Prudence in our relationships is crucial. It invites us to think before we talk and consider the impact of our words, and to find the correct moment to express ourselves. Many times we have lamented having said something. We have to be capable of learning and overcome this. So if you feel that something might hurt someone else, stop and find a way of saying it in a way that it won't harm anyone, that your will is set on not harming anyone, That does not mean that you have to remain silent and permissive. It means that you give yourself time, the necessary time to build an action, a word that is coherent and adequate for you. When the word generates division, there's no prudence. Prudence also when it makes clarity. Silence is very powerful. It has the power of reconducting, of aligning, of manifesting truths. And it's truly a great resource, it's great power. Use silence and a way of injecting awareness in our relationships. In its spiritual dimension, prudence connects us with the divine because we can connect to greater consciousness to be prudent. In those moments that we give ourselves to reflect, that's connection time with our love, but also with universal love. It is also understanding that our choices, our decisions have an effect on others. Not only what we say and do, but also what we think and we feel towards others. It affects them. So being prudent is observing how we can touch the life of a person through how we think, we feel, we talk, and we act, knowing that everything that you emit is being received. Therefore, being prudent with others is an act of love towards yourself too, because it does not allow yourself to intoxicate yourself thinking bad about somebody else or talking ugly about others. You don't let yourself be intoxicated by that. There are very subtle planes of thought and emotion, and they are also affect people. We must be able to manage those subtle planes in consciousness, and that is prudence. Many of us took a purity state of origin, that original state of purity, if we are not prudent. Even in face of challenges, and is a conscious choice, a prudent choice on how we want to react in the face of what we have in front of us. Prudence also connects you to patience because it allows you to trust the timing and the wisdom of the eternal, and therefore letting go of control. Sometimes there's nothing wrong in not choosing. Don't choose anything. Don't decide. Why do we always have to choose? If you are oscillating around something and that generates a psychosis, yes, no, yes, no. Just choose to let go. Be prudent. Don't choose. Why? Because you're free and you choose not to choose, right? It seems easy, but it's not so. But being prudent is a gift towards ourselves. And today we're here to expand this spiritual virtue, to trust in divine timing, in the wisdom of the universe. Just let control go and accept that some decisions require more time, more patience, more reflection, more connection. It doesn't mean that you are someone that cannot make a decision. It doesn't mean that you're incapable. It means that you need more time. And there's nothing wrong in that. Trust in your prudence. Let those decisions be guided by love, by your truth, by certainty. When you practice prudence, you decide and act from a state of peace, not from uncertainty, of not knowing that if you chose the correct thing. If you do not know if you chose the correct thing, is that it's because you were not prudent before. That's why it's so powerful. And that's why we're opening the year with prudence to move from a state of peace and generate peace for the world. So necessary for all sentient beings right now. Prudence invites us to live with awareness, to navigate life without falling into the traps of impulsivity and reactivity, those traps that generate true problems at all levels. Prudence creates that space of reflection and awareness for the benefit of all sentient beings. How can we practice more prudence in your daily life? What decisions you have to make that need prudence for you? What aspects of this year, 2025, you feel that you must be more prudent? What have you learned from the lack of prudence in your life? Reflect before acting. Listen to your intuition, to the pulse of your heart. Just go through the whole probability, the whole timeline before making a decision, especially in moments of stress. Give yourself time to be aware. This is prudence? What practice allows you to be prudent? For example, take the pulse of your heart, meditate, take a stroll. What practice allows you to be prudent? And every time that you are in stress, in conflict, where there's an external pressure for you to decide, you feel stimulated that is making you react impulsively and you feel doubt. What practice can help you get back to prudence? It is very important to identify what helps so that when the time comes, you can have that tool available quickly. Remember the importance of being prudent in relationships, in the words, and use silence in all those moments that you feel you need it to avoid conflict. Allow your spiritual practice to guide you to make important decisions. Trust the time that you need for those decisions. There's a reason, there's a deep reason for not being able to make a decision. There's an evolutionary purpose for that. Maybe it's because there's something you need to see before, and the universe wants you to see that something. Trust those times, that divine timing. And also allow yourself to be prudent when you receive answers. Pressing someone else for an answer. It's an attachment, an egoism, selfishness act. When we press someone else, we are generating a disorder that does not allow a bond of love. We generate veils in the other person. We generate stress in the other person. Be prudent. Give them time. Give the other time so he or she can connect with his own truth and make his own choices. Be free. Let go of control. Allow divine timing to be. This year, 2025, let's be prudent. Allow those instants of prudence that strengthen our capacity to act with more consciousness. Let's put our intention of being much more aware in our decision making and in actions. And we will see a great, great difference in our way of living. Get out of that systemic pressure of doing everything now and responding now. It feels good to get out of that pressure. One gains lightness, freedom, and at the same time, we gain potency and speed because prudence does not allow you to fall into those traps that come from reactivity and impulsivity. Visualize yourself with your pulse taken, connecting with all the 2025 timeline, and see from your heart how a great sphere of prudence emerges and wraps the whole 2025 timeline. Prudence guides my steps. I learn from my past. I give myself time to reflect. Prudence guides my steps, and we observe how that sphere wraps in prudence the whole of 2025. Allowing that each time that we are in front of a decision, prudence will put a hand on our shoulder and ask us, is there enough consciousness in this decision? Is there enough awareness in this action? If the answer is yes, then we can go forward. If the answer is no, from love, we will give ourselves that space so that each action and each decision is filled with consciousness. This 2025 is an invitation to be in complete consciousness every step, and not getting conforming for less, and to observe how this changes our reality. We will connect with a master, a spiritual master that will teach us about prudence as a spiritual virtue. Allow that through the pulse of our heart, a master manifests and gives us a message on prudence, a piece of advice, even on a specific issue of our lives, of ourselves. This master, the spiritual master, will give us a gift, a symbol that represents prudence as a powerful spiritual virtue with which we are starting 2025. We take that message, that symbol, to our heart. And we will start to connect with this spiritual master that is here as to the group to talk to us about prudence. It is Confucius. Confucius, a great Chinese philosopher and teacher that was prudence. It was a pillar of his thoughts. And for him, prudence was not only a practical thing, but a spiritual practice that guided people towards a life of harmony, justice, and wisdom. In his teachings, prudence implied acting with moderation, to think carefully before talking or acting, and considering the implications of our decisions in the well-being of society. Confucius emphasized the importance of introspection, of consciousness, and self-knowledge as a base for prudence. He believed that only when we know ourselves we could act with true wisdom and avoid impulsive decisions. Prudence is the bridge between knowledge and action, making sure that our choices are aligned with ethical values, with our own principles, and with the collective well-being. For Confucius, prudence was essential in the relationships with others. The rule, the golden rule, was don't do to others what you do not want to be done on you. And it's a clear expression of this virtue that invites us to act with prudence in our relationships. In his vision of government and leadership, he said that leaders should be prudent always when they are exerting their authority, looking for common good and avoiding the abuse of power. Prudence combined with benevolence was the key for a just and stable government. One of his most famous phrases is, "The superior man is modest in his discourse, but acts well." And this reflects prudence, reflection, showing that true wisdom is more acting than in talking, and to do it with purpose and carefully. Prudence, according to Confucius, invites us to reflect on our decisions and their impact on our life and the life of others. In a world that we are today accelerated, his teachings remind us of the importance of calm, of reflection, and consideration for collective well-being. Prudence that he teaches us goes far beyond an ethical virtue. It is a spiritual path. It is a spiritual path towards inner peace. With prudence, we can construct a life full of meaning. Today, we start the year with prudence. We choose to accompany ourselves with this prudence, with this spiritual virtue that invites us to be filled with awareness, with consciousness. May prudence guide all our decisions that illuminate our path, giving us a life even more authentic, more aligned with ourselves. This year, brings to us so many probabilities and challenges and goals. We choose prudence as our friend so that we don't hurry ourselves. Let's stop running towards the future. Let's stop to fill ourselves with awareness, with consciousness, so that every action we take is aligned with what we truly are, with what we truly want, with what we truly need. We welcome 2025 with the spiritual virtue of prudence in all its spiritual dimensions, being grateful for prudence blessing our being. Happy New Year, guided by prudence and the light of the divine. Take a deep breath and open your eyes softly. We will dedicate the merits of today's work for the benefit of all sentient beings. May this wave of spiritual prudence that we have generated touches all beings so that they can be prudent, so that they are filled with awareness and consciousness, so that they won't be a victim of reactivity, of impulsivity. Prudence gives you freedom. A big hug to everyone and Happy New Year. Enjoy this start of the year. And thank you for being here in this new year. Great, bravo. So kisses to all.